What's up, everyone? Welcome into the All 22 NFL show. You got Chris and Ray. If you haven't yet, first, go to all-22.com and sign up to play All 22 today. It's the only fantasy football game with full 53-man rosters where you get to use offensive linemen and have access to PFF grading to make decisions each week. Also, go to the App Store and just download it and sign up that way. It's much easier. It's a great experience. We're looking forward to have people playing. But today, we are going to be reviewing the interior offensive linemen, the top guys that we think are in this draft, or at least guys in the conversation for the top spot based on the consensus, right? That's how we're getting this list. We went through them. We created our own rankings. And at the end of this episode, we're going to go through that. But we're going to start for the YouTube listeners with Tyler Booker from Alabama, 21 years old. He's 6'5", 321 pounds, has 34.5-inch arms, 11-inch hands. He spent 3 years at Alabama, played over 2,000 snaps at left guard. And at the combine, 5'3", 840, 196, 10-yard split, 27-inch vert, 7'10 broad jump, 7'9", 3 cone, 4'8", 420, and 21 reps on the bench press. Not necessarily overly inspiring numbers. From a grading perspective this past season, 66.5 offensive grade, 86.5 pass blocking grade, 63.9 run blocking grade, 0 sacks, 3 hits, and 7 hurries. Ray, you are going to lead this one. Take it away.
Yeah, so Tyler Booker, I mean, the measurements, let's just start with the measurements. He pretty much described like a creative player at guard. Long arms, big, huge hands. Like, that's exactly what you look for. I mean, you just look at him here. I mean, he's lined up at left guard here, but phenomenal frame for a guard. And then you mentioned the workout and the numbers themselves weren't overly athletic or inspiring, but the pass protection, performance, production, grading is pretty darn high. We're going to just jump right into it. So Tyler Booker, number 52, left guard for Alabama. We're going to go through a few snaps against Tennessee here. And again, caveat, Chris always says 5 plays. So I have 6 plays of Tyler Booker to show you. And again, we are identifying trends that we see in players and then giving you examples of those trends from certain plays. It's not meant to be a highlight tape or a low light tape, just what we identify when watching several games of these guys and are going to give you some examples of. So jumping right in, we're going to start with that pass protection here. So again, left guard, number 52. And the first thing you'll notice is he just, again, power player, gives up absolutely no ground in pass pro. In previous episodes, when talking about defensive linemen, we talked about dying a slow death and how offensive linemen are okay with that. 52 Booker here. He's not dying at all. Hands inside and just, 90 looks like a pretty big boy. He's trying to grab some cloth here. Doesn't work. Then you get the extension from Booker here, and it allows Jalen Milroe to kind of actually step back to evade the rush from the right tackle here. The right tackle gave up some ground, but that allows Milroe to step up in the pocket and then just screw up the pass to an open receiver here. That's Jalen Milroe. But again, you see just the power and, and footwork from Tyler Booker here, just giving up no ground whatsoever. If he does give up ground and get pushed into the pocket, Milroe might not have the space he needs to escape this and at least attempt the pass here. But you see the power on display for Booker. Oftentimes you hear power and you think of the run game, but in pass pro, it really shows up for someone like Tyler Booker. So we're going to run it again. More sort of pass pro here and just communication with the center. Just anticipates the twist. You'll see his inside arm out here, just kind of feeling the rush here. Center passes him off very nicely. Again, gives up absolutely no ground whatsoever. So it's a nice clean pocket for Milroe to throw to. And this time does complete the pass. But again, just stout in the pocket, but super smart as well. Has a good feel for what's coming and can give you a nice clean pocket. Again here, another pass pro rep. We're going to get some run in a second here, but just wanted to show you now we have a defender kind of coming in from space. You see there's a very wide split between the tackle and the center here. And so you mentioned those workout numbers there for Booker, and you're kind of wondering, okay, how's he going to fare in space? Two-way go here, and he just is able to latch on to the blitzer and just bury him to the ground here. You'll see, left tackle gets buried too, 74, but you see Booker here just latch him on, throw him to the ground, and allow Milroe to airmail yet another pass. But just stellar pass protection from Booker here again in all facets, whether it's communication with the center, just straight up rushes or blitzes with a perhaps two-way go given the space that he's working in. not necessarily a phone booth, doesn't necessarily matter. Booker's still highly effective. So here we go. Just going to run this here with a bit of a negative. Just on the pull, you'll notice at times he's a bit slow out of his stance, gets caught up in the wash here. And so moving laterally is late, gets caught up, and that allows the defender here from the second level, number 9 from Tennessee, to just have a clear path to Milroe to stop the quarterback run there. So Booker's a power player. Sometimes getting him on the move, it can be pretty hit or miss. This happened another time in this game as well, where he just ran into another blocker or defender here and couldn't get out on his pull and caused a TFL. So it's a bit of a trend there. You know, the lateral agility and the movement in the run game out wide can be an issue at times with Booker. But we're going to run here now, just again, slow out of the stance in pass pro at times. Just can't recover, doesn't have the foot speed to recover when he does miss. I mean, you'll see he's the last one out of his stance here. 74 is already in the kick slide. He's the last one out. And then again, I think he might have anticipated a bit of a pass off here from the center, but he had a defender lined up to his outside shoulder and just is not quick enough to recover. And, Milroe luckily able to get the pass off, but again, a big loss here. And that's just one again, because the foot speed out of the stance isn't necessarily quite there for Booker, which will show up at times. So I think you're kind of sensing the theme here. But to wrap it all up, again, in pass protection, this is just overall a super smart player. He hands off the defender beautifully, anticipates the loop from the stunt there from the end, and picks it up beautifully. Again, absolutely no ground given up, and allows Milroe to step up and make a pass. So I think overall, very stout player, very smart player, not the most agile, so won't be a scheme fit for everyone. But for whoever does draft him, they're getting a very stout pass protector and powerful run defender as well, who could just flat out move people. So might not be a Miami Dolphins type of lineman, so to speak, but in general, a very effective player. And we're going to talk about it a bit more when we do the full positional breakdown.
Great job, Ray. And you always have a tell, man, when you're reviewing prospects, whether or not you like them. That was a pretty positive review. So I think we're going to have some good things to say later. But we're going to move on to Donovan Jackson from Ohio State. He is 22 years old, 6'4", 315 pounds, 33.5-inch arms, 9-inch hands, a little over that. I don't know what I wrote there. 4 years at Ohio State, 2,500 snaps between left guard and left tackle. He did not participate at the combine, did not get his pro day numbers. Maybe those are available. We'll have to look into it. But grading, 71.8 offensive grade, 70.2 run blocking grade, 69.9 pass blocking grade, 2 sacks, 5 hits, and 12 hurries. It's important to say that those numbers this year were split between guard and left tackle, guard being his natural position. And Ray, I didn't do 5 plays for these players. So just a heads up on that. I did way more, considering especially this player in particular. We have left tackle film. We have guard film. I wanted to show a little bit of both. But that is him, number 74 on the left side of your screen, playing left tackle. Go ahead and hit play. I think it's important to note, right, not his natural position, but there's an obvious trend that at left tackle, he struggles with speed. Whenever people are coming from space, able to put a move on him with speed, he definitely struggles to get to those spots as quickly as he needs to. And here's a great example of that. Guy beats him to the inside. It's a run play. Guy misses the tackle, but essentially this could have been a really bad loss, just getting beat across your face that quickly. We could go to the next play, which is really just more of the same thing, and it's going to be Parsons this time, and we all know this is the number 1 pick in the draft. But
you mean Carter? That was a Freudian slip.
Carter, holy cow, yeah. Carter coming off the edge here and puts a spin move on the left tackle again, Donovan Jackson, and beats him with speed. And that's, again, it's just going to be a trend. It's not his natural position. You can tell that he struggles to get hands on and really just position himself successfully when there is a speed player coming at him. Next play shows a different trend, right? It's more about the bull rush and how it's just not going to work against Donovan Jackson. And 91, I don't know what you're doing on the outside there. You don't look like you belong with these kind of guys. And he's, running out to the edge, trying to get some pressure. You could tell the dude's chugging along, trying to get some pressure. And it's just not going to work against a player like this. So great job by Simmons there. Jackson there. Sorry. Holy cow.
Man, a lot of slips here.
A lot of slips. But let's go to the next one, and it's another example, right? It's Donovan Jackson in a run play going against Micah Parsons, not Micah Parsons. Holy cow, Abdul Carter. And Jackson gets hands on him and is driving, right? And this is against a speed player again. And in a run position, it's really hard to get past Jackson. And he basically puts Carter on his butt as Carter tries to reach to make a play, putting in extra effort. Love to see it, but it's just not going to work against a player like this. And then I wanted to show one more play at left tackle, showing that trend about speed. And that's what you're going to see here again versus Carter. It's just not going to work, right? Speed just kind of beats him every time from that edge position. He doesn't have the comfort or the body control the way that he necessarily needs to. And it shows here pretty strongly against what could be, again, the number one pick in the draft. But now we're going to move to showing him more at the guard position, where I think he sees things really, really well. Thank you for highlighting him there. Go ahead and hit play. This is him picking up a stunt. And again, just shows that he's got great vision, right? What a great handoff. Ability to just kind of stay clean. He loses no ground. There's really no pressure. He doesn't even get pushed back, right? He's just staying where he is. And you could just tell he's super comfortable on the inside, and it shows. So great play there. And then I wanted to show him in movement, right? Him asked to get to the second level. You can see that he gets there pretty quickly. And again, you, as a lineman, when your responsibility is to get to the next level, you have to trust that the person designed to get the player you're letting go is going to do that. So you need to keep yourself clean, and he does a great job of that here. Does he make the best block? No, but he pushes the guy back a couple of yards, right? It's a run to the outside, doesn't have to worry too hard, but it just shows that he does have this nice athleticism to get to the next level. And I'm going to show that again on this next play. Where he gets to space. Maybe we should slow it down. Oh, no. This is a power play. This is totally power play. Where, again, it just shows like he's straight up with a big body dude, and he's just driving, right? And he's able to get to the next guy, kind of hands it off, but great communication between the linemen. Great job, essentially just driving back a big-bodied guy. Love to see that. Here, another one. Nope, same play. Let's go to the next one. Okay, here we are, better angle. This is the one in space, showing him getting to the outside. Wish he would have buried the guy a little bit better, but I love how quick he got there. And the running back, the person running the ball, I think it's Howard on this play, the quarterback, but able to really get behind him. Looks like he got shot by a sniper, but not because of anything Jackson did. Jackson got to his spot, made his responsibility happen, set up a clear lane for him. So I like it for Donovan Jackson on that play. I think this might be the last play. Go ahead and hit it. That's him at left guard. And it's him against a linebacker in a run blocking play. Just great job walling that off. Look at that easy lane that he creates, right? Just puts himself in a great position for the running back. It's just kind of how you design it and exactly what you want from a guard. So maybe that wasn't the last one. I think there is one more here.
Man, you really broke all the rules. Nope, that's the last one.
Oh, shoot. No, there was supposed to be another one. Doesn't matter. Anyway, really good player. We're going to transition now to, this is going to be Jared Wilson. Jared Wilson from Georgia. 6'3", 310 pounds, 32 3/8 inch arms, 10 3/4 inch hands. Spent 4 years at Georgia. Just over 1,000 snaps, though. So wasn't the starter the whole time. Only really a 1-year starter at center. But at the combine, 4.8, 4.40 time, showing that athleticism, 1.7, 1.72 10 yard, 32-inch vert, 9.4 broad, 4.56 20-yard shuttle. And for grading, 79.6 offensive grade, 76 run blocking grade, 84.9 pass blocking grade, 0 sacks, 1 hit, 5 hurries.
Yeah, so Jared Wilson, we've kind of heard his name a bit more in recent weeks, whether that's due to his combine performance and or the fact that there really aren't many centers projected in this class at all. And so given, Georgia, started from Georgia, big school, kind of next man up type deal, we're starting to hear his name more and more. So figured we'd jump right in. You mentioned the athleticism from the combine. And so you're going to see it here. He's the center. So just pay attention to the guy in front of the quarterback. And so first play here, I like kind of the help he gives here, sort of driving into the interior lineman and then working his way to the second level and really just sealing off quite easily the linebacker here. Oh, that's Chris Paul from Ole Miss, of course. Makes more sense now. But again, you got the one tech, gets some good help here, and then just kind of has a nice, easy movement up to the second level. Again, showing that athleticism and a bit of power there and help, and really just sort of driving into the ribs of that one tech, making space for him to get to the second level and opening things up for the ball carrier behind him. Play right after that, he got plastered. If you see that on a low light, he actually got his foot stepped on. So I didn't show it here because I'm trying to follow the rules of the play limit here. But just a note, if someone tries to show a low light of Jared Wilson getting absolutely pancaked like his second snap of the game against Ole Miss, he got his foot stepped on. So be wary of that. Second play, again, just another example of his balance. Seems kind of ho-hum here. But what you'll notice here is he kind of gets bumped by the tackle here, just kind of being driven into him, but is able to still kind of sustain and hold his block just enough for the running back to squirt through. And that's really the difference between a 1.5 to 2 yard gain to about 8 or 9 yards there, by allowing that running back to squirt through. Just that like last bit of balance and strength there to hold the defender just enough. No, that's not a holding. To get some positive yardage for the running back. So that's some of that hidden yardage you see in some of the nuance of interior line play that is he's able to do because he is a very nice, fluid, kind of balanced, athletic type of center here. So going to let it run here again. Center, third play, just really easily, again, just getting to the second level. He's uncovered and just very comfortable working to the linebacker in space and really driving him out of the play. Sometimes you'll see with the interior linemen at the second level, linebackers and defensive backs are kind of able to just, due to sheer athleticism, kind of put them in awkward positions by trying to avoid the contact. He squares up and just drives him nicely, and that's all athleticism there. So another positive play from Wilson there, just showcasing that athleticism. But here again, I'm just letting it run. Just doesn't quite have the strength there to hold off. I believe that's Walter Nolan. So you're going to get that here. But again, just kind of gets stood up. You'll notice the posture here, just not great. And then Nolan's able to just kind of shuck him off and then just kind of bear hug the ball carrier down to the ground. So again, kind of straight up there, you see Nolan's able to kind of cross his face, wins that strength battle, and just kind of assists on the tackle there. So strength when you're going up against a defender like that kind of shows up here. We're going to let it run. And again, this time Nolan tries to win with athleticism and crossing his face, and that doesn't work in pass protection. Again, really easy, kind of fluid mover here, light feet, and is just able to kind of ride the defender out. I don't know, maybe Nolan's a little tired there, but again, just you're not going to beat him necessarily with athleticism. You're going to maybe overpower him is probably the better strategy here based on what we've seen so far. You're not going to beat him. You're not going to out-athlete Wilson at center. And so Nolan learns, gets some heavy hands, quick hands, lines up, head up, and is able to get some quick pressure to break, basically just shut down the play. Again, not the scenario you want to see Wilson in here. Head up, he's going to lose quickly. He doesn't have quite the hand strength or speed to win that battle here, and just gives up the quick pressure underneath. So head up nose, not necessarily what he's built for, but get him in some space and he might be able to do something for you.
All right. You just don't like Walter Nolan enough. That's really what it is here, buddy.
Sure.
But we're going to do Greg Zabel next from North Dakota State University, 23 years old, 6'6", 312 pounds, 32-inch arms, 9.5-inch hands. Spent 5 years at North Dakota State, 2,776 snaps between left tackle, left guard, and right tackle, so all over the place. And at the combine, 36.5-inch vert, 9.3 broad, 26 reps on the bench. And grading-wise, 90.4 offensive grade, 86.4 run blocking grade, 93.1 pass blocking grade, 1 sack, 2 hits, and 4 hurries. I just want to say in advance, I apologize for the quality of the film we're about to show you, but it was pretty difficult to get some good ND State film. But we're going to work with what we have. And here, I believe he is at left tackle there, number 74. And, we're going to show him in a few spots, but here, left tackle. And I think it's just not fair, the competition he was against, right? And I'm not necessarily sure. He was always playing great talent. You could go ahead and hit play. It reminded me when I had friends or myself as a practice squad player going against seniors in college. And the seniors would kick our ass a little bit, right? And that's kind of what it looks like here. It looks like he's going against some like freshman that, didn't hit the weight training class yet, right? And just basically getting manhandled. Very, very easy win there, but shows that as a run blocker, he definitely does have power that maybe his length doesn't suggest right away. But here, this play here again at left tackle, something I really liked about his tape, and it's something I always like about North Dakota State players, is the hand usage and the arm usage, right? He creates length with his arms, he locks on, and he creates distance, but it has composure, right? And he's always keeping it in front of him. North Dakota State guys seem to use their arms so well, and it always looks like that. And I always think to myself, like, that looks like a tackle would block, right? Obviously, there's rumors that this guy's going to play on the inside, which is why we're talking about him today. But I do think that positional flexibility and the length that he's able to use with his arms might make up for the fact that maybe he doesn't have perfect tackle size or length. But regardless, nice job there. And we'll go to the next one. We are now at the Senior Bowl, so we could show him playing at different positions. He has that right guard. You could see the green helmet there. And again, just good block using arm length. Go ahead and hit play. But watch him just get that extension, right? I think he uses his right arm and basically just tries to extend it and pushes the guy and kind of just like draws him out, right? And creates that lane. Running back sees it well, finds the hole, gets a nice like 3, 4, 5 yard gain there. So again, nice block from the right guard position. And this is now against really good talent, right? So we could start to judge him a little bit more critically. And then the next one here is it's a screenplay. So you see him lock on and does a really nice job engaging and getting off semi-quickly enough, right? And then he's hauling butt down the field, gets him, kind of impedes the running back's lane a little bit. I don't love that, but he was aggressive, right? And look, he just wanted to bury number 10. Whenever you get a shot on a little guy, you have to take it, and I could tell that's what he was hungry for there, and does just that. And then next one here is, again, at right guard. Run it back and pause it just because it does go super quick. But it shows one-on-one in space, and kind of like you said before about some of the other guys, look how much space is there for the defender to make a play, and he's not able to, right? Because Zabel just locks in and keeps it in front of him, does a really nice job. Quarterback does a good job getting the ball out quickly as well, because Zabel does end up losing at the end of this rep after a second with a nice spin move, but held it long enough for the quarterback to get the ball out. Last play I'm going to show is him at center, if you want to just pause it right before that starts. So him here at center. Didn't... Go ahead and pause it.
Hard.
I know. I appreciate you. So here at center, I just want to show just him moving, right? Going through a progression. So go ahead and hit play. Again, this is a guy that had never played center, but watch him help out and assist there, move to the next level, get his hands on the next guy. Wasn't perfect. It's not like he did anything amazing, but again, this is a position he's never played before, and he's doing a really good job helping out, getting to the progression, handing off, and just, again, continuing on with his block. So a lot of positive things on his film there. And we will keep moving it along with number 5, Marcus Bowe from Purdue. I'm going to pull up his information. Give me 1 second. Okay, Marcus Bowe from Purdue, 22 years old, 6'4", 303 pounds, 32-inch arms, 10.5-inch hands, 4 years at Purdue between right guard and right tackle, played 1,863 career snaps. At the combine, ran a 4.67 with a 4.67 20-yard shuttle. Grading wise, 73 offensive grade, 77.2 run blocking grade, 68 pass blocking grade, 3 sacks, 1 hit, and 21 hurries. Go ahead, Ray.
It's kind of tough watching Purdue tape as well, because a lot of the games were over pretty quickly. But in any event, we're going to see him lined up for the most part at tackle. And obviously he's in the interior offensive line episode because that's where we feel he projects. You mentioned those 32-inch arms. That's a big part of it, just the length required to stick on the outside in the NFL. He kind of falls below those thresholds. But in any event, right tackle here, number 63 for Purdue. We got some Notre Dame clips we're going to run through here quickly. So again, pretty decent kick slide here. Shows the athleticism. Kind of doesn't necessarily win the hand battle, and you see kind of is able to just get long-armed here. The defender gets inside of him. He's off balance and gets driven back. So you show some nice athleticism, but strength kind of gets bullied back into the quarterback here in pass protection. This is very early on. Might have been the first rep. I'm not sure, but In any event, we're going to go to the second play here in pass protection, and I kind of like what he showed here as far as passing off the rusher. He didn't see it quite as cleanly as someone like Tyler Booker did, for example, when we were breaking him down. Kind of rides it a bit longer there, but it's also the guard's kind of slow to pick it up. So once he does kind of drive the edge rusher back into the guard, he then is able to recover and really just shuffle out wide and pick up that rusher. So that's athleticism there, because I don't think the inside blocker was quick to pick this up. And so kind of put Bo in a tough position. He's able to nicely just sort of recover, lock on, and then that allows the quarterback to roll out and complete the pass. So nice athleticism again, some pretty light feet from Bo. Again at right tackle here, and in space in the second level, going to go ahead, find work, square up against someone, doesn't drive him and blow him up, so to speak, but gets in the way and is able to prevent it from making the play and allows not sure if that's the tight end or a receiver here, to pick up some extra yardage. So a nice clean rep in space from Bo, again, showing that athleticism here. Now lined up at tackle, again, can kind of get to the second level really easily there, kind of wades through the trash there, kind of feels what's going on, just skips over the garbage, no worries, and still is able to cut off the backside backer here. And if everyone else could block on Purdue, might have had a nice gain there, but does his assignment very well, gets to the second level cleanly, and can square up against a defender. Here again, I'm not sure if this is the last play. It might be, because this game was over pretty darn quick, and I kind of got tired of watching tape when they were down 49-0 by the middle of the third quarter. But you're going to see here, does a nice job just kind of squaring up, hands on the inside of the defender here. So decent posture here. Don't like that both feet were up in the air, but kind of is able to recover. But I think this is where those 32-inch arms comes to play. He has his hands on the inside, so he actually wins that battle, but is not able to really extend. The edge rusher can still kind of grab his pads and kind of shuck him either way here and still control the action. You see the hand on the pads here, even though Bo's hands are on the inside of that defender. And so as he's just reading the quarterback movement, he's then able to just really throw Bo to the side and still disrupt the quarterback, because despite having good technique there, he just didn't have the length to really keep the edge rusher at bay. So when you ask why arm length matters, or you kind of get those people online, oh, your arm length doesn't matter, you just got to block. At times it does, and this is one of those times where it does, and you kind of see it come into effect here. So you like the athleticism, but some of those traits or those limitations physically really show themselves at tackle, which is mitigated some at guard, which I think is why his overall projection is on the inside, because I think athletically he could likely hold up on the edge.
Love it. Thank you for that, Ray. We are going to finish off with Tate Ratledge from Georgia, who's 24 years old, 6'6.5", 308 pounds, 32 1/4 inch arms, 10 3/8 inch hands, 5 years at Georgia, 2,081 snaps mostly at right guard. For the combine, 4.97 40, 172 10 yard, 32-inch vert, 9.5 broad, 7 3/8 three cone. Grades: 74.4 offensive grade, 74.7 run blocking grade, 77.3 pass blocking grade, 1 sack, 2 hits, and 4 hurries. He, again, right guard, number 69 there. You could go ahead and hit play. This is a guy that moves bodies in the run game. I just wanted to show this one from the jump because, again, he's going against Kentucky. This is a pretty good team with like legitimate talent. It's not, he's not playing some scrub school. This is like legit talent. And he's moving this guy back like 5 yards on a basic run play where you're matched up one-on-one. That guy didn't stand a chance. Like that's fantastic, right? That's exactly what you want to see from your guard and run blocking. Second play, same thing. Go ahead and hit play. It's the same kind of thing, showing trends. He just moves bodies one-on-one. Look at that. Like that's 5, 6, 7 yards down the field, just moving this guy down the field. It doesn't get better than that, right? If you could just have your guard eliminate a guy on a play, that's fantastic process. Third play shows a little bit of a blitz happening on a pass play, right? And shows that he has some pretty good vision, right? Great handoff, gets his hands on. Guy has no idea, tries to jump to bat it down. But, Ratledge, again, just keeping everything in front of him, does a really nice job. Obviously has strength that just transcends on these plays. Go ahead and keep going. And it's another run play showing moving bodies, but also showing where he can make progressions as well. So moving the guy, helping, double team a guy, moving him down the field, and then stepping off to the linebacker. It's showing a little grainy on my end. Hopefully it's okay for everybody else. But burying him at the end, right? Basically getting there and burying the guy. Again, 10 yards down the field. And that's a consistent thing I saw from him, which is pretty fantastic. Next play here, I wanted to show just a guy, that you could run behind, getting closer to the goal line. Go ahead and hit play, right? We're choosing to run behind this guy because he might be our best run blocker. We're going to create space, right? It's not perfect, but create space and gets to the next level, creates that lane, and another decent gain close to the goal line. It's what you want to see.
Who was that linebacker, Chris? Just kidding.
Yeah, it's your boy, dude. It's your boy. You're just ruining this dude's draft stock, and I hate it for him. Last one here, showing him on a pull play because that is important for guards and shows that he gets to the spot really well. The only thing I would have liked to seen a little bit better, he gets square, which is great. But once you get there, you want to start to wrap around, right? So that the running back has more of a clear lane. I think whoever it is he's going against here kind of does a good job getting across his face and continuing forward to create a little bit of chaos. It's not perfect, but again, I think Ratledge does a good job. But the defender does a good job as well, just making sure that he gets off of this so that he can contribute onto the tackle.
Yeah, nice play by Chris Paul on that one. See, that can be fair.
There you go, dude. All right, so we've reviewed 6 of the interior offensive linemen. Let's jump into kind of the conversational piece of this episode. So first, let's welcome in audio-only people. If you are joining audio only, you can go to YouTube and check out Ray and our review of the top interior offensive linemen from this draft process. We reviewed 6 players, and now we are going to talk about how we rank them. But first, hit the like button on YouTube if you are watching on YouTube. If you're listening to the podcast, go and rate us 5 stars, and then go to the App Store and download the All-22 app so you could start playing All-22 fantasy football, which is what we are here to represent. But let's start getting into the rankings, Ray. And I think before we do even, it's important to kind of say, right, there is a very, very thin line in this year's draft class between who is a guard and who is a tackle. And to be honest, it's not all that clear to me, right? We only reviewed these 6 interior offensive linemen today, but guys like Will Campbell and Kelvin Banks and some other guys at the tackle position that we're probably going to do next week very well could be in that interior offensive lineman conversation. So I want to start there.
One? Yeah, there's a ton. And I think it's because there are no real surefire top flight type of tackles in this class. Even the best ones are kind of built like guards and play like guards. So you're right. Those lines are blurred in this class, which is why we've been saying for a while now, last year was the class to get a tackle if you needed one. If you need one in this class, there's some good, Banks is a good player, but you're not necessarily getting the prototype. You're not getting the no-brainer body type there. There's just some more questions there. They're not quite as clean as they have been in recent years. But again, you could find gems anywhere at any time. So again, great players. But yeah, to your point, as we showed here, a lot of the interior guys that we have assigned as such are still playing tackle, and the same goes vice versa for the tackle position, where some of them who have film at tackle in college and are currently being talked about as tackles might end up as guards a couple years down the road.
Right. So I think the way we're going to play this is we're going to rate the 6 guys that we talked about today. Next week, we'll do the same for the tackles that we talk about. But I think later on, we're going to, and probably during our ranking episode, we're going to have to say, I see this guy as a guard, or I see this guy as a tackler, I see this guy as a center, right? And that'll be our final ranking. So bear with us with that. I'll start it off. No, you know what? I want you to start it off, Ray. I think I always do. So give me your number 6 of the guys we talked about today.
My number 6 was close, but I do have Jared Wilson as the 6th guy of this group. And I like the player. Again, these are all players. We're highlighting them because we think highly enough of them to be worthy of discussion, because they could be all 22 rookie draft prospects, which based on the math means sometime at day 2, likely the very latest, right? For the most part. I like his athleticism. He moves well. I do think he struggles a bit with strength. He's not quite as clean when passing things off. I studied him actually right after Tyler Booker, and aside from the obvious just physical differences, it was stark watching how Booker was able to kind of pick things up in real time as they were happening, as opposed to Wilson, where at center you're tasked a bit more with that than necessarily a guard. But you understand, okay, this is a 1-year starter. This is a young player, so to speak. So there is some maturation that's needed there and is natural. So I like the athlete. He's got some good bones and foundation to him as a player, but the strength is not quite there. He's not necessarily a people mover. You line him head up and you could have some problems, or you line someone else head up on him rather, you'll have some problems there. And so good player. I think he's going to be a starter in the league, but we talk about the center position all the time, how there's not very many great ones at all. I don't think this is one that moves the needle. Again, talking all 22 here, he might be a starting center and might be one of the top couple names at the position in this class, but he doesn't really move the needle at the position versus what's out there currently already. So fine player. I like him a lot. I think he's got some upside there, but I'm not sure he's a real needle mover for anybody. He doesn't change the complexion of your offensive line on his own. So good player at the pivot.
Yeah, no, and I agree with you. I think he is a good player, and he may be my number one center. Like, we'll see at the end of the day. But I think that what you're banking on is that the frame is special, and that could be molded into something that's also special. But there is things in the film that give you pause, right, and make you a little bit uncomfortable. So I totally agree with you. I think this is probably, in my mind, an early to mid third round pick. So a guy that you still want to take a bet on because of that physicality and body type. You just bet on that kind of a player. But I had him at 5. I had Marcus Bowe at 6. And I will give you kind of some information on that. Give me 1 second. Yeah. So Marcus Bowe at 6 for me. Again, for audio only, he is 22 years old, 6'4", 303 pounds, from Purdue, played a little bit of guard and tackle. Didn't really do much at the combine, but grading-wise, 73 offensive grade, 77.2 run blocking grade, and 68 pass blocking grade. I think his frame is what you're banking on as well with Bowe, but it's just not. It's not, in my mind, a perfect frame for a guard. It's a good frame for a tackle that you hope can maybe move around a little bit, but I don't think it's like prototypical guard frame. He's only 303 pounds, and I think he wears it well, but it's kind of like more of an athlete build, and not necessarily like, I like guards that are a little thick in my mind, right? Like, I like guys that are a little bit bigger, a little wider, and I don't really see that with him. And I think he had some good things, like you showed, right? Moving in space pretty well. I like that. But I'm just not a fan of the way his body moves in general. Like, it's not super smooth. It's a little heavy-footed. It's just kind of sloppy, a little bit wild. I don't know if you noticed this as well, but he's always in a 2-point stance. And if he is moving to the interior, that's likely going to change at the next level.
It's because Purdue's always losing. They have to throw the ball, Chris.
Yeah, is that why? He's also just like, I didn't see great explosiveness in him. Like, right? Like, I didn't see him as like a people mover. And again, if you're talking about moving this guy to guard or center, you kind of want to see some of that stuff. And as well, last thing I'll say is this dude whiffs a lot. Like, just totally whiffs on blocks, again, because I feel like he's not controlling his frame. So I'd have a little bit of a hard time myself taking this guy before the 4th round of the NFL draft if I was an NFL team. That translates to being like a 7th round pick in all 22 if he's a guy that you want to bet on. So for me, I really struggled with placing Bowe on this list, so he was last for me.
He was not 5th for me. So I'll give you my 5th, and that would be Tate Ratledge. Just, again, good player. These are all good players, so we'll say that up front, because you're looking at me like I don't like the player. Fine player. But the archetype, I don't see the upside once he gets to the NFL as a true people mover, difference maker on the interior. He's got good strength. I think he's fine, but I think you just kind of throw him in there with the rest of the slightly above average guards in the NFL, and I don't think he's going to stick out. 5 years at Georgia. Most of the dudes at Georgia, They don't stay for 5 years for a reason. So that's number one. And with the transfer portal, for all I know, he started somewhere else. Who even knows anymore at this point? But in general, I think he looks the part of someone who was in college 5 years, just kind of big, burly, moves people around. But again, that next sort of level of twitch or ease of movement, you kind of highlighted on one of those clips there, where he is moving to the left and can't quite seal off the defender to the outside there. And then Chris Paul went over the top and made the play, where he's just missing that little bit of that. And in the NFL, that's going to happen a bit more often, while not necessarily being able to just be as much of a bully as he was in college, facing dudes 2-3-ish years younger than him. So I think he's a starter. I think you can plug him in and he won't kill you at all. I think he'll be fine, but I don't see the next step once he gets into the league, that sort of next level that gets me excited about a player like that. He's someone it's fine. It's safe if it's late or maybe let's say early day 3, I have him in the 4th round. Sure. Because this is someone who can be a starter in the NFL. You draft a starter in the 4th round on day 3. I mean, that's a perfectly good pick, but not someone that excites me to the point where I'm moving him up any tiers versus some of his peers in the class.
I just had the most insane deja vu. Did you say like almost exactly that about somebody in like one of the last 2 episodes, or am I dreaming?
I don't know. There's a lot of people that don't excite me that much. I don't know.
No, but it's not even that. It was the whole thing. Anyway, it doesn't matter.
I said someone was at Georgia for 5 years and they shouldn't have been.
No, not that part of it. The other part. But anyway, I have Tate Ratledge at number 3. So we are not on the same page about him. And it's mostly because I think a lot of the prospects, and especially the 2 that we just spoke about, I think are guys that you're just banking on traits, but you don't necessarily see it on film. Tate Ratledge, at least you know what you're getting, and it's obvious what you're getting, which is a really solid, like you said, startable player at the NFL who maybe doesn't excite you, who maybe you're not saying, this is a guy that is ever going to be top 5 guards in the NFL, but he's somebody that I think could play in the league for a long time at a reasonable starting level. And to me, that's valuable, right? Especially with how thin guard is in the NFL. There's so many teams that need a guy like Tate Ratledge on their team. I think what he does, again, he does it really well. I think he's one of the better run blockers I've seen in recent years. He's a people mover. He's a space creator. He's a guy you want to run behind. He's got good vision in pass pro, even if he's not the best in pass pro. Injury history is my biggest concern, and that's something neither of us talked about yet. But he had tightrope ankle surgery, and I think that was this year. And then Liz Frank, I think he had as a freshman. So those injuries, definitely concerning, right? Is that something you're going to continue? One of the reasons it was kind of hard to get film on this guy is because the games I have access to, like, he only played in 2 of them, and he played 17 snaps in each of them. So just injuries were really frequent this year, and he just couldn't stay healthy. Does that, take him to the next level? Is that something that's going to carry forward? Maybe, right? That is the concern I have. So if I'm concerned about anything, it's that. I also think with his hand usage and length, it's not perfect. He sometimes throws his body a little bit too much. He has the size to use his length, right? Talking about a 6'6" guy with 32.5-inch arms, he should be able to use length a little bit better at guard, but he just doesn't. So definitely a concern for me. And again, throws his body, wants to use his physicality, which is great in college. But when guys at the next level are a little bit stronger and a little bit better, it's harder to do that. So for me, just a very solid player. I have like a early to mid day day 2 grade on him. So like I could see him literally being in this class a 2nd round pick.
Wow. That's okay. We see him, now that we see him differently, you value him more. And everyone at Georgia gets tightrope ankle surgery. Bowers, a whole bunch of them do that. That's their thing down there. The injuries are concerning, especially on a big body. I don't like ever hearing Liz Frank. I mean, he's a guard and not a receiver or something. So I'd rather hear it for someone like that who's more of a power player. I think what's interesting is of like the names we listed, right? And it's funny because they're on the same team, but the team that likely takes the plunge on Wilson is not necessarily a fit for whoever's going to take Ratledge, just different archetype of player, right? Yet here they were lined up side by side with each other at Georgia. So just goes to show, again, the flavors of ice cream at offensive line. But okay, so fine. So who did you have next up, or rather
so
worst up after that?
Little recap, right? So I had Marcus Bowe at 6. I had Jarrett Wilson at 5. And I just told you I had Tate Ratledge at 3. So what's missing there is my number 4, which is Greg Zabel. I know a lot of people are really high on Zabel, and I do understand it, right? 6'6", 312 pounds, 32-inch arms, 9.5-inch hands, played all over the line in college, right? 2,700 snaps is great experience. It's exactly what you want. 5-year starter at North Dakota State. Did some things at the combine, which he did well. 26 reps on the bench, 36.5-inch vert, 9.3 broad, and grading was phenomenal. But again, it was against maybe lesser competition. I think the positional flexibility is a huge bonus at the next level. NFL teams love that, right? And they really go for it. He has really nice arm length and ability to battle. If you go back and watch the film, I showed a lot of that. His length and hand usage is phenomenal. He's got good movement skills for that kind of height. And I think it is because he wears the weight well. And he does a really nice job of keeping things in front of him, always keeping things in front of him. Only things are, I do think he has a little bit of a strength issue where he struggles to hold the point of attack for long enough to really keep a play going, right? That might not be a first read kind of play. And he might hand strength, right? It's hand strength and holding on to those blocks. Those are my biggest concerns for him. So for me, it's like I don't necessarily see him as a fit at guard. So if you're telling me this guy's a tackle, like I kind of see it, but he doesn't necessarily meet the traditional minimums that you'd want for a tackle. So is he a center? Maybe. And again, people are kind of saying that he's who's the player, Ray? We talked about it earlier.
Graham Barton.
People are making the Graham Barton comp. I don't see that. I don't think he's that same level of player. So I take a gamble on a guy like this as a mid-second to late second round pick if I have a need at center and maybe you want to have some of that tackle flexibility. But that's only in those specific situations which I think limits him a little bit at the next level because I really don't see this guy as a guard. Where did you have him?
So I had him at 3.
Okay.
And 3 and 4 were very close to me. So as you can imagine, my 4 was Bowe. I'm a little higher on Bowe than you are. I think he's athletic. I think he's not quite. I think Zabel showed a bit more stiffness than Bowe, but was able to use his hands better. You mentioned that, bit more powerful, and can kind of was just more of a mover. So someone who, if we're transitioning someone into guard on the inside, you got to have some power there. And I think that's the concern with Bowe. Whereas Zabel, you have some athleticism concerns there overall, perhaps, but I think I could see the fit at guard, even probably a little bit better than you, or more optimistically than you, I should say. So yeah, Bowe at 4 for me. I'm a little higher in athleticism, but if you're on the inside, you have to be able to move people or be able to absorb power. And he doesn't do that too well. Now, again, you get him in the right system where he's moving around quite a bit, getting out in space, a lot of that zone blocking and things of that nature. He could be highly effective. This is someone, if he goes to the 49ers or something like that, I could see Bowe all of a sudden grading really highly early in his career and everybody being really high on him, right? Whereas Zabel might not have that type of upside in a zone type of scheme, but is a bit more scheme flexible, which is important and a talking point I'm going to get to maybe a bit later on in this episode. So I'll leave it at that. But I had Bowe at 4. I had Zabel at 3.
And I get why you like Bowe, because you are very much like, I want the traits over like, again, Tate Ratledge, which you know exactly what he is, which is more kind of my speed. You're like, hey, just give me the traits and I'll figure it out. I want the team that can make the most out of the talent, the raw talent that this player has. I can make that work, where I'm saying Tate Ratledge is good. Let's plug him in and he's going to play for me for a long time. So I get that. And I get why you'd have that. Interesting that you had those two guys close, him and Bowe and Zabel. I definitely liked Zabel a lot more. You called him a little stiff. I think it's called form. Bowe did not have that. And that's what really concerned me about him. It's just that lack of technique. Right. But that means he needs 2 or 3 years of extra wiggle room before he could even get there. Right. And that's, agree to disagree. And I am really excited to talk about the top 2 guys, because I struggled with which one I had above the other. I didn't think it was as clear cut as I think some other people think it is. I had Tyler Booker at 2. So I'll just talk really quick about Tyler Booker, who is 6'5", 321 pounds out of Alabama, still just 21 years old, but 34-inch arms and 11-inch hands. Is there a reason this dude didn't play tackle? Like, what is the reason he didn't play tackle?
Oh, well, we saw it. And he showed it at the combine too. He's not necessarily the fleetest of foot out there. I'm not going to say he's not really an athlete. You could say that.
No, he's definitely an athlete, but I get it, right? But he is the guy that definitely has the size where you're like, man, if somebody trained this guy, there's a chance he could be one of the better tackles in this draft. But regardless, played over 2,000 snaps at Alabama, combine, 5'3", 840, right? That's what Ray was touching on. 27-inch vert, 7'10 broad, not inspiring numbers. 66.5 offensive grade, 86.5 pass blocking grade, 63.9 run blocking grade. And the reason I have Tyler Booker at 2 is I'll talk about the positives. Extremely strong, right? And heavy-handed in pass protection. And I love that, right? When I'm talking about tackles or guards, the biggest thing in pass protection for me is like, if you're getting rushed, whether it's somebody's putting an athletic move on you or they're trying to bull rush you, if you get hands on them, you need to be able to hold them at their point. And Booker does that better than anyone in this class. So fantastic job of that. Does not allow pressure. Like, I watched a lot of his tape. He does not allow pressure in the pass game. He has a chance. I don't think anyone has a chance against him in pass rush. And I think he's exactly what you want in goal line situations. He can play that better than anybody else. But the negatives to me were not to be missed, right? Like, there are things in here that hit me pretty hard where I'm saying it's not surefire. Like, it's just not surefire that this guy's going to step in and be an absolute stud, which I think he has the potential to be a top 5 guy. These top 2 that we're talking about, I think both have the potential to be top 5 at their position in the long term, which is great, right? But the negatives on Booker to me just really were concerning. So you talked about him not being quick enough always to get to his spot on pull plays. And I saw that over and over and over again, where he's just not getting out there quick enough. And he's causing disruption when most guards in the NFL need to be able to do that. I don't think he has elite vision on stun plays. He can be successful with them, but it's not like next level vision that you'd want from maybe a first round guy that we're talking about. I think he also struggles to move people in the run game, which is kind of crazy, right? Like, when we talk about the run game and you talk about Alabama interior offensive linemen that are over 300 pounds, you expect them to be people movers. Booker's kind of not that. Like, he's really good at holding points of attack, right? And it might be because he has limited athleticism and explosiveness because of it, but he doesn't ever really push people backwards, which is a little concerning to me, again, when you're talking about him being that high level, that high caliber of a player. So I do have him as that borderline late first, early second round pick, and a really solid player that I would be very confident in taking, because this is a pass happy league and you want guys that can do really great jobs in pass protection. But I do have big concerns on him, considering the league is starting to move to being a little bit more run centric, and he is not that for me.
So I had Jackson as clearly my number 1 guard. Incredibly high on him, but
did not expect us to agree on that. Okay.
This goes back, Donovan Jackson for me goes back like 5 years. He was the best high school offensive lineman I have ever seen coming out of Texas. I was devastated when he made his college decision, but to me, he's honestly the greatest high school offensive lineman I've ever seen, just flat out. I was very young when Tyron Smith was in high school, so let's just say that. But yeah, so before getting into Jackson, though, Booker, it also applies to Jackson. I think he's an incredibly smart player, though. And so for me, I understand when you see the athletic limitations, you wonder about bust factor. I think he's smart enough to not have that. I just don't see him flaming out at all in the league. The difference between the two of them, Jackson can play in any scheme. And in the NFL, there's coaching turnover all the time. About a third of coaches get fired every single year. So you're going to have a new coach once every 3.5, 4 years, give or take. And Jackson's the type of player that could play in any scheme, anywhere. Booker, scheme limited. You can't just place Booker on the Miami Dolphins and think you're going to get the same player that you saw on tape at Alabama. So there's some scheme limitations there. But he is a young player, so I do think both in terms of athleticism and explosion numbers, there's still some there. There's still something untapped there that I think can be, can be sort of drawn out of him. And I do see a better profiler on the ground or in the ground game because of it in the NFL than the inconsistency we saw there at times. So I think he's a pretty easy projection, right? A gap scheme type of guard on the interior who is going to really hold up and strengthen the spine of that offensive line, keep the pocket clean for your quarterback. He's not going to get pressure up in his face, at least from his man. And that's incredibly valuable in today's NFL. Donovan Jackson, to me, offers all of that, but with the athleticism, but with the scheme flexibility. He can move in space so well. He's also really smart, especially early on in the season. My takeaway from watching Ohio State's offensive line was they didn't seem to be terribly well coached. That got a lot better as the season went on, but there were plays where I was watching and Donovan Jackson was the only one properly passing defenders off and just having no help or support whatsoever. And I was wondering, what the hell's going on here? Why is he the only one that seems to have like a 400 level understanding of what's happening on the field and others don't? And then you saw, he answered the call when their left tackle went down and he had to play left tackle for the remainder of the season early on. Did a heck of a job there. Got better, obviously got whooped by Abdul Carter. Everyone does on the edge, so don't hold that against him. But to me, Donovan Jackson is just literally name whatever it is at offensive line. He's at least an 8 out of 10 at that, if not better, at literally everything, but with a great frame, light feet, heavy hands. Are they as heavy as Tyler Booker's? Probably not, but his feet are lighter. He could just do whatever is asked. You just put him at guard and you don't have to worry about that till he's 33, 34 years old, 10 years from now. I don't have an ounce of worry about Donovan Jackson when he's on the field. He's super steady and he offers you value add in both the pass and run blocking game. So I can't say enough about Donovan Jackson. I'm smitten with him as a prospect. He's clearly my number one, and that's no slight to absolutely anyone else on the list. But I've had my eye on him for a while. I think he should have come out last year and been a very high pick. But Donovan Jackson's the clear number one interior lineman in this class for me. And again, we'll dive a bit deeper at tackle, but probably the number one lineman overall in this class. So
wow,
that's my guy.
Okay. All right. I like it. And I mean, just again, audio only people, Donovan Jackson from Ohio State, 22 years old, 6'4", 315 with 33.5-inch arms, 9-inch 7/8 hands, 4 years at Ohio State, 2,500 snaps, did not participate in the combine, grading 71.8 offensive grade, 70.2 run blocking grade, 69.9 pass blocking grade. But those grades, you have to put a little star next to them because he played left tackle and left guard when the injury happened. So he played all over the place and was not natural at left tackle. But again, looking at this and looking at his size, you start to ask yourself, is this a guy that the NFL is going to say, maybe I try that. Maybe I try him at left tackle, right? Maybe I try him at right tackle. It doesn't matter. I think a team may consider that, which makes me think when I'm watching the tackles, I do need to consider where does he fit in if a team thinks of him as a tackle. But just at guard, I think, you hit it on the head. It's 8 out of 10 out of everything. I think he's really good at just about everything that you want him to be good at. He has that insane positional flexibility, which is great. Very strong against the run, very strong hands, locking onto big bodies. Good movement skills for a guy with that size. I think it's a lot better than Tyler Booker, which is a big reason they separated for me. And when he's been healthy throughout his career and played a ton of snaps, which can't say that for everybody on this list. So that's obviously great. I think the negative for me, right, I showed that he loses to speed, like Abdul Carter on the edge. Didn't see it as much when he was playing guard, so that might be a tackle-only issue. I think his feet could definitely be quicker, though, especially, again, at tackle. Might just be that he didn't know the form well enough and he's not super comfortable. But I think his feet could be a little bit quicker, and his form, obviously, slightly better because of that. He is the only one on this list that I have as a clear first rounder. I think he definitely goes in the first round, and I would be happy with, like you said, right? He's not scheme dependent. He could go anywhere and be a contributor right away. And if I had to put my money on any of these guys being a top 5 at their position in the next 3 years, it's definitely Donovan Jackson.
Yeah, I really hope an NFL team doesn't experiment with him at tackle. I hope that's like a break glass in case of emergency situation only, because this guy is just, he's got it all on the inside. I think if he was able to play on the inside all season as opposed to come Halloween kind of switching over to left tackle, I think everybody would be talking him as the clear number one guy because everyone on Ohio State really pretty much improved throughout the year. I think he was a big tone setter and driver for that. They don't win the national championship for all the talent that they have, for all the players that they're about to have drafted, most expensive roster in college football, blah, 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 blah. None of that they do not win the championship without Donovan Jackson. It just does not happen. He is this guy to me is a future team captain. Again, you're going to put him at guard and he's going to be your guy, your anchor for a decade, and you don't ever have to worry about him, knock on wood, health permitting.
Okay. There's one other guy that we didn't talk about today. That's Jonah Savanaia from Arizona. I will say the reason we didn't talk about him, I see him only as a tackle. I do not see him as an interior offensive lineman. So we will maybe mention him a little bit next week. But everybody, thank you so much for tuning in. If you haven't yet, please give us a follow on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and X at all22_PFF, and give us a review wherever you watch or listen to your podcast. And have a great rest of your day.